Disasters in Europe, September 15, 2024.
Jezu, kochany.
Ta woda choruje.
Incredible amounts of rain, in some cases 4 times higher than the average for the whole of September, have led to an extremely dangerous flood situation in eastern Austria. The entire state of Lower Austria was declared a disaster area on Sunday morning, and in Vienna the situation was particularly precarious along the Vienna River and the Danube Canal, but also along the Liesenbach, for example. After a briefing in Tone, several residents had to be rescued from their homes. Numerous streets were closed. The fire service was in constant operation. Unfortunately, we cannot give the all clear. Further heavy rainfall was forecast. Firefighters and special equipment were requested from the federal states of Styria, Carinthia, Upper Austria and Burgenland, and an assistance mission from the Federal Army was initiated. The Federal Army has around 1,000 men available, according to the Lower Austrian Military Command. Civil defense alarms have been triggered in several communities. In addition, people should keep themselves informed about the situation. Deputy Governor said early in the morning that a further 60 liters of rain per square meter are expected in the next few hours and that there will be further flooding across the country. On Sunday, the Ottenstein Reservoir will reach its storage capacity. This will lead to a further rise in water levels on the camp, and evacuations have taken place or are underway. It is possible that the flood protection measures will not be sufficient in some places if the value of a 100-year flood is exceeded. Because the storm situation has worsened in the past few hours, the State Crisis and Disaster Management met again at 2 p.m. In Lower Austria, for example, one can assume that the situation will continue to escalate, he said. There are major pressure points here, where we are battling against the water masses and also against the storm. Meteorologists' forecasts indicate that the situation will not ease until the middle of the week. Niehammer thanked the emergency services, the volunteers and also the Federal Army and the police for their efforts. The cooperation between the federal states is also working very well. It is now also important to repair the damage as quickly as possible, the Chancellor stressed. This also applies to the power supply, where outages are still occurring. "1,160 fire brigades with 20,000 members were deployed in Lower Austria. We currently have 2,000 missions on the waiting list, and the number is growing by the minute," stressed State Fire Brigade Commander. The priority is to save people. So far, 1,100 buildings have been evacuated, it was reported this morning. Small bodies of water have become raging torrents. In St. Pölten, Europaplatz was flooded, and dams broke in several districts. In the district of St. Pölten, several bodies of water overflowed their banks. The fire brigades are primarily concerned with rescuing people from buildings or vehicles, including boats and dinghies, the district command said. There were also power outages. Residents were trapped in several houses. In Markersdorf, 4 people were rescued from a building. A low-pressure system named Boris has triggered days of downpours and rivers have burst their banks from Poland to Romania. More rain and strong winds are forecast until at least Monday. Some parts of the Czech Republic and Poland faced the worst flooding in almost 3 decades, as towns evacuated thousands of residents. 250,000 Czech homes were without power. Authorities declared the province which surrounds the capital, Vienna, a disaster area. A bridge collapsed in the historic Polish town of Glucolice near the Czech border. Local media said a house was swept away and a bridge collapsed in the mountain town of Strony Slaski, where a dam burst, according to the Polish Weather Institute. Residents' footage showed floodwaters gushing through Lipowa-Lazna and neighboring Jesenik, damaging some houses and carrying debris. Lipowa-Lazna resident Pavel Billy told News the floods were even worse than those seen in 1997. "My house is underwater, and I don't know if I will even return to it," he said. Police and fire services used a helicopter to evacuate people stranded in the district. Overall, more than 10,000 people had been evacuated in the country, the head of the fire service told Czech television. Just across the border in Poland, in Kłodzko County, which Prime Minister Donald Tusk said was the worst hit area of the country after meeting officials in the main town. Kłodzko town was partly underwater as the local river surpassed record levels recorded in 1997. Officials in nearby Glucolice ordered evacuations early on Sunday, although efforts to protect the town's infrastructure failed to prevent the bridge collapse. In the Hungarian capital, Budapest, officials raised forecasts for the river Danube to rise in the second half of this week to more than 8.5 meters, 27.9 feet, nearing a record of 8.91 meters, 29.2 feet, in 2013. According to forecasts, one of the biggest floods of the past years is approaching Budapest, but we are prepared to tackle it, Mayor said.